So you had some beef today in Bowl of the Ring between your two defensive assistant coaches. Can you walk me through and tell me what that was like?
Oh yeah, it was good. Quentin and Q entered the field. Music, ovation, the whole thing, and then went head to head. Went 3 times, and it developed into kind of an endurance event. It looked like, and Q got after Quentin for the most part.
What is it about Bowl in the Ring that you guys enjoy so much to be doing at the end of every practice?
Well, we do at the beginning. We do at the beginning, and then. Well, because it sets the tempo. I mean, football's a hitting sport, and so and that's what we expect to happen out there in practice is contact. And so then, of course, we tee it up with that, gets everybody fired up, and then we get to, guys that are competing at positions get to go against each other. Guys that go against each other on the field, maybe somebody from the other side or somebody that's not quite their position or across from them. Offensively or defensively, they go head to head and sets the tempo for practice.
When two guys get in scraps, maybe in a previous practice, do you kind of choose those two to go at each other?
No, we'll put them in the next day for sure. Yeah.
Frederick, he's had a couple practices where he's been struggling with snapping the football. Is that becoming a common issue, or what do you?
Well, I don't think any of if they miss any, it irritates me, and we've got. Center after center that sprayed the ball. So, we're going to work on it. And I happen to think it's just concentration. I don't think it's skill level. I think it's concentration. I think we have to concentrate longer and harder.
You were talking about position battles earlier. Any position battles at this point in spring with the spring game coming up that stand out to you?
Virtually every one of them, really. I mean, there's nobody that's secure. And then even following this, then, of course, they'll train and for several months, and then we'll do the same thing again in camp, and then towards the end of camp, then sort it out.
When you said the roster bring the Crimson and Gray game, when do you guys choose the Crimson and Gray teams?
We already have. I don't remember who's on what team. Basically just the ones on one side are on one team, the ones on the other side are on the other team, and so it's intermingled. Like you might have, the starting, the one inside receivers on one team, the twos on the other. On the other side, that team gets the ones, and the other team gets the twos. So it goes with the safeties, the corners, the defensive line, the outside receivers, the running backs.
You have an idea of how you split the quarterbacks up?
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, but it'll be Tinsley and Gordon for the first half for the most part. Maybe not the entire first half, but generally speaking, the first half.
You had time to think about the new kickoff rule that they implemented, I think it was last week, the fair catching inside the 25. You have any thoughts on that?
I haven't thought about it very much. I think it's a dumb rule. For the last 15 years and probably longer, you could probably go 25. We constantly tinker with rules. I can't think. If you come up with one, I'd like to hear it. I'm not saying there's not one, but we constantly tinker with these rules, and sometimes we reel them back. This has been a sport that's been heavily scrutinized for over 100 years, and I haven't seen any of these rule changes improve anything. Not in the last 15 years I haven't, and I could be wrong because I can't think of all the rule changes because they fire about 5 of them at you a year. And again, like I say, they reel them back, is probably more often than not. But, I can't think of any of them that are beneficial.
I think that this one maybe is supposed to reduce collisions and improve
well,
safety.
They're all supposed to reduce collisions. Everything, reduce collisions. Don't let anybody get tired. Yeah, the whole thing. It's like the Halo rule. How good did that work? And it took us 2.5 years to escape it. So anyway, do I think it's a good rule? I doubt it. But anyway, so it is what it is.
Do you have a least favorite rule? I know you're not a big targeting fan.
Well, nobody is. Nobody is. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think officials are either. I don't think anybody's a fan of it. The least favorite is uncatchable ball. How do you know if it's uncatchable? I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, somebody gets interfered with, and so then a quarterback alters his throw because he doesn't want it to get intercepted, and they said, oh, well, it's uncatchable. Well, it's ridiculous. And then the other thing, I see a lot of balls that are supposedly uncatchable that I've seen guys catch balls that are harder than. So that's a really stupid rule. I mean, they could address that. Maybe they ought to address that one. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, before long, we'll just be spotting the ball at the 25, so.
You've mentioned your stance on committees in college football. If you ever got done with coaching, could you see yourself maybe getting into a spot where you're helping with rule changes?
Oh, I'd have to be really bored. I'd have to be very bored. And then I think too often on these committees there's too many people that aren't football people, and then I mean, who wants that? And I think that's part of the deal there. You go to some resort and everybody golfs and says, well, we better come up with something. I mean, just go golf. Just keep golfing. That's what I think they ought to do.
Are you a golfer?
No, I hate golf. That's another reason I wouldn't be on a committee. You have to golf a lot. I don't golf enough to be on a committee.
Is there a reason you like it?
Because it's boring. Because I don't care where that ball goes. My family liked golf. My dad and brother both liked golf a lot. And they would drive around, and, you'd be on some road trip, trying to get somewhere. And, of course, they'd have their clubs in the trunk, Oh, well, this is a nice little golf course. Well, maybe we could just hit 9. Well, it wouldn't take long. Let's go really fast. Well, you end up hitting 18, and pretty soon I'm just, reading the same magazine over and over again. And, no, it's because everybody says, well, we'll go talk about something on the golf course. You don't talk about nothing. Here's what you talk about. You say, okay, here's what golfers talk about. And Jonathan Winters, a great comedian, had a really good point. He says, you know what? He says, golfers, he says, they're always going like this. They're always going like this. They're always practicing their swing. He says, I fish a lot. He goes, you know what? But you know what I never do? I never, just as I'm sitting in front of a TV or walking through the living room, go. He goes, I never do that. And, well, so what they do is they'll line up over the ball. They'll describe something that, they're going to do with a club and a ball that you can't do with a sniper rifle and a scope. They're going to hit that ball to a spot that you can't hit with a sniper rifle and a scope, but they're going to do it with a stick and a ball. They'll say, okay, if I just back off on my left, if I put a little more weight on my right, if I do this, the ball will go right there. No, it won't. I mean, it might be a good shot. It might be a great shot. It's not going to go there. And then as they're going up to the ball, well, if I would have done this, and if this finger was different, and this hand was different, and this grip was different, then the ball would have gone right there. Well, no, it wouldn't have. It would have gone somewhere else, but it wouldn't have gone right there. And then so it goes the whole time. Nobody talks about anything. And, golf's pretty much for people that don't swear effectively enough or need practice at it. And so, I mean, there are those that need golf, and I don't think that I do.
Coach, I saw you were able to spend a little bit of time with the new women's basketball head coach, Coach Etheridge. What was that conversation like?
Oh, she's a great lady. I mean, obviously, she's had a great career. And she's from Lubbock. She went to Monterey High School, which was actually my daughter's rival high school. My daughter went to Coronado, and she's really good friends with and Bobby Magel, who's one of the greatest baseball coaches in the history of America, all-time winningest high school baseball coach in history. Coach at Monterey, so she knows Bobby Magel and Carolyn Magel, who were kind of fixtures at Monterey High School for decades, and just great people, and so it's good to have her up here.
Speaking of baseball, I know you said you were an Angels fan. What's your thoughts on Ohtani, the pitcher and hitter? And then the second part of that question, do you think a college football player could play offense and defense?
Yeah, some do. There's a handful around the country that do. I don't have any names for you, but there's a handful that do. I haven't seen him play a lot. Obviously, he's really good. And then it'll be interesting how his career unfolds. I mean, you know, it's kind of Babe Ruth came in as a pitcher too, but he hit too good to stay as a pitcher. So, you know, I haven't looked at the material, but they say Babe Ruth could have made the Hall of Fame as a pitcher, you know, just like as a hitter. So, you know, maybe this guy's one of those once-in-a-lifetime kind of guys. I guess we'll see.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.